Hello and welcome to the Genuine Learning blog. My name is Melisa Galasso and I am very excited to kick off our very first blog of 2024 with our 2023 year in review. So first and foremost, Happy New Year. I am very excited for an amazing 2024. I hope 2023 was wonderful for you, but we look forward to what's going to be happening in 2024. Every year around this time, we like to do a year in review to look at the standards that were issued in the previous year. So we're going to take a look at all of the standards that were issued by the major standard setters back in 2023 so that we're aware of all of the happenings. And we're going to start with the AICPA. So the AICPA issued SAS 149, which is with respect to group audits, and made some changes around the concept of a component auditor. Today we call them a component auditor whether we make reference to them or not. SAS 149 looks at this a little bit differently and has a concept of a component auditor, someone we're not making reference to, and then a referred to auditor, which is someone we will make reference to. This is part of the new quality management concept. Those that we're making reference to are not part of our system of quality management and therefore will be separate. But if you are not making reference, you're taking responsibility, then you are going to be treating them as part of your system of quality management. And so this standard is a delayed effective date to align with the new quality management standards. So, the AICPA didn't issue very many standards. We had a lot of standards that were effective in 2023, like estimates and risk assessment, but they only issued one final ASU. So in 2024, we're excited because we will have SAS 150. So any guesses on what that one might be? All right, the AICPA also issued several ethics interpretations throughout the year. They did look at public interest entities. This was important because obviously while the PCAOB is responsible for a lot of these audits, there are other types of engagements that are done under the AICPA standards. And so this updates and defines better what is a public interest entity as part of obviously our AICPA convergence. In addition, due to the numerous cheating scandals with respect to the ethics exam, the AICPA has added a new interpretation around what I fondly refer to as cheating on CPE. The proper title is professional qualifications or competence, and this is really looking at not just CPE, but also any type of work that you're doing, whether you're getting your MBA or going back to school, anything that's around qualifications or competencies that you shouldn't cheat on those types of items. And so that kind of goes into detail on what that looks like. And then one that's kind of an interesting one has a little bit of a delayed effective date, which is related to fees. In particular, when do we have fee dependency, and looks at a couple of different areas with respect to, when we have too many fees potentially coming from non-attest services. And so that again has a little bit of a delay so that firms have time to look into their fees and become compliant. Switching from the AICPA over to the FASB didn't issue very many this year, more than last year, which is not hard. I think last year we only had 6, if I remember correctly. But we're not going to get too close. We're not even going to hit 10. We're going to stop here at 9 in 2023. The first one we actually were kind of hoping was going to come out in 2022, but it was the first ASU of 2023, which was the common control arrangements and giving some exceptions for leases. It has 2 elements. It has a practical expedient for private companies with respect to common control arrangements, but it also addresses leasehold improvements for all leases, whether it's public, private, nonprofit. ASU 2023-02 looks at tax credit structures and the proportional amortization method. It does expand those. Currently, they're only eligible to use proportional amortization method for low-income housing tax credit. This expands this to additional tax credit so long as you meet the criteria. ASU 2023-03 is an SEC specific item where we're incorporating some SEC guidance into the codification, because remember the S section of the codification is SEC specific. We'll see the same thing in ASU 2023-04, more SEC amendments related to staff accounting bulletins there. ASU 2023-05 is a very exciting one. This is joint venture formation. And so when you create a joint venture from 2 separate entities, it talks about your initial measurement and how you treat those items that are contributed to the joint venture. ASU 2023-06 is another SEC. This is related to disclosures that were recommended by the SEC. So this is something that if you work with SEC clients, you should definitely take a look at. ASU 2023-07 actually also only impacts public companies because this is segment reporting. And this really focuses on disclosures. We're not changing how we determine segments. We're not talking about any changes to criteria, but they do make some changes, especially around interim disclosures for segment reporting. But again, only public entities are going to be responsible for segment reporting. ASU 2023-08 was very exciting. In fact, it was the #1 requested item in the invitation to comment for the agenda consultation, which is accounting for and disclosure of crypto assets. And so again, digital currency really didn't have any good guidance. It was left basically as an intangible, and it was basically held at cost less impairment. This moves to a fair value model, which is more consistent. Again, there are qualifying criteria, and so it's important to make sure you're in scope. And then last but not least, ASU 2023-09. This one is another request specifically of investors, and this is looking at income tax disclosures. And this is going to provide more disaggregation of the types and the jurisdictions to which organizations, public and private, are paying, as well as having expenses related to income taxes. 9 ASUs coming out of the FASB, which was pretty exciting. A lot of very niche ones, several that are public company only, but again, getting the job done on that cryptocurrency. GASB has some big ones coming. Revenue and expense recognition has gotten a lot of attention this year, but also the financial reporting model, which everybody has been kind of following. They made some significant changes to the scope of that, removing governmental funds from that project and creating sort of a separate quasi-project for right now. But they did get out an implementation guide with some really important questions, specifically with respect to subscription-based IT arrangements. And so this was a very important implementation guide to come out. But we are still expecting in 2024 some big projects to come out of the GASB. So definitely keep paying attention. We are expecting some big stuff from them now. But again, light year in 2023 as they worked forward. All right, we always like to stay in touch. So these are different ways that you can stay in touch with us, from social media to other learning opportunities, as well as our book, Money Matters for Nonprofits. But with that, that is a wrap on 2023. We move into 2024 with great expectations for an awesome year, lots of standard setting, lots of important changes that are coming down the pike. And we promise to keep you informed of what's going on. So thank you guys so much for joining me, and I hope to see you on a future blog. Have a great day, guys. Bye-bye.